If you love entertainment, current events, and Hollywood, don't miss Creator to Creators, hosted by the filmmaker Meosha, known for the Shudder hit documentary Horror Noir and the acclaimed film Anatomy of an Anti-Hero, Redemption. This show features interviews with filmmakers and creatives from around the globe. Join the fun with guest celebrities and gain valuable insights. Subscribe now and follow Creator to Creators.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators today. Today we have a special guest.
Sam Welch.
Welcome back to the show. Long time.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I love going back to the beginning. For the new listeners that probably don't really know much about your background, please tell them a little bit about your childhood. What was that like growing up, and kind of how did you find your way into music?
I grew up in a very musical family. My mom's side of the family was piano, saxophone, electric guitar. My uncle was a rock musician who performed with some of the members of the Rolling Stones, and they impressed on me the importance of musical creativity. And as you grow up, I started studying piano when I was about 8 years old, and then started doing vocals in high school. Continued with both those trainings through college and after college. In high school, I had my own barbershop quartet, and then in college, I was in a group called the Columbia Kingsmen, which is it's a male a cappella singing group.
Nice. So you said you had a barbershop. So you cut hair at that, like at the neighborhood, or?
I said barbershop quartet.
Quartet. Okay, sorry. I was like, what? That's new.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah, no, it was about four guys singing a cappella,
Nice.
Caroline in the Morning and stuff like that. I came up with a name for it. I called it the male hormones.
Nice. What were you like always supported in the music? Like, were your family super supportive of what you've done, like going down this road of music? Because it's like your normal job, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I work as a site counselor for my daytime job, and it's really great having the outlet for the music. I mean, it's been an emotional outlet for me, anything more than anything else over the years. To start out, I didn't even realize that I would be actually ultimately marketing my music. I did it just as something to create some good vibes on a weekend in, 19 or 2005, 10, 15. It was kind of like a side pursuit for a long time, and I never actually even considered producing and distributing.
Nice. Do you, I mean, obviously, putting your own music out, that's a lot of work, and a lot of puzzles to like fit in the puzzles, because you have to get your music out, you have to do the promotion, photo shoots. It's like a whole thing. What's the most important, like most enjoyable part of that process do you enjoy, like when it comes to being an artist?
Probably just the promotional aspect of the radio interviews and the
Nice.
blog articles. It's very affirming to know that my music does have the sort of the benefits of having done all this music over the years, to see that it's actually finally paying off. So I mean, but ultimately it's the reward I get from writing a good song that really wins the day in terms of the most beneficial aspect of it.
Yeah, I love that. So tell me about your new album.
Yeah, so my new album it's called The Republic, and it's basically a continuation thematically of the stuff that I've been writing about over the past few years. It's sort of a combination of religion, politics, psychology, with the emphasis on the sort of the intersecting realms of the theme of transcendence, along emotional dysregulation, and how those two things filter into each other. So the album this year is a lot more. I had a change in genres. It's not quite as rock as last year's album was, and the year before that. It's more pop, sort of a pop alternative. So it's just, but I did a good job with maintaining the holistic character of the songs. I made sure this year to do everything, to build everything from the ground up, basically. I'm not using any musical templates. I create all my own instruments using the MIDI connection, so that the instruments are all created from the keyboard, basically. And I continue also to use the vocal doubling system, which is a great thing, because I used to do it manually, and that was a big job. So I really like the doubling systems, how
Nice.
well they work. Some of them work better than others, but it definitely is a continuation of the vocally resonant songs that I write.
Nice. What's one of your favorite songs on the album?
I think one of the most instrumentally good songs is it's about a client that I wrote. It's named after a client that I work with at my job. It's called Mr. Bungrazi, and it's about sort of, I mean, thematically, it's not really that related to the rest of the album, but I mean, it's got a good backbeat to it, and it's got it's about sort of, I mean, the theme is about sort of maintaining one's individuality as one moves through life. But what I did on this was I had the vocal harmonization set up in such a way that when I perform it, and by the way, I've started performing now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, when I perform that, I can sing in harmony with the melody line. The melody is there already, and I can actually sing a major third below the melody line. So it's a new type of performing content for me, because in the past when I've performed, it's always been singing along the melody line and just singing with the melody. But now I'm actually singing in harmony with the melody line.
Love that.
So it's yeah.
So you wrote all the songs all yourself. This is all.
Yeah, I write all my music. Yeah.
How long did this album take to create?
I would say about 9 months.
Wow.
Maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you know you were like, okay, this is done. I don't need to go back and fix anything or add anything to it. Like, did it just feel right?
I mean, I do a lot of work with the studio, the mixing and stuff that's done, and that sort of is the final touch on the music. It's a little rough when it comes out before it gets mixed, but my audio engineer is a pretty creative guy, and he can fix pretty much anything. So usually he'll be able to kind of flesh out whatever needs to be done in terms of. But I mean, usually it's more of a time thing than anything else. Just thinking, well, I've been doing it for so many months now. I've got so many songs, and it's just, well, I think it's time. So I kind of set myself a time deadline, and once I reach that, then I'm like, okay, I've got 10 songs now. I'm gonna call it a day, and then I start the distribution process, which takes a while as well.
Yeah, it's great to hear that side, the tech side of being an artist, because a lot of art aspiring artists, people who want to get in the music world, don't actually see that part of it. They just see the finished product. They're like, oh, it looks so cool, I want to do it. But when they get in it, it's like, oh, you got to do X, Y, and Z. And it's kind of like keeping your whole, it's a machine to keep it running, honestly. And you're doing a great job.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. So, obviously, I love asking this question, if you could be managed by an artist, living or dead, like someone that can you know, kind of help you in the industry, that is in the industry? Who would it be and why?
Well, I guess musically, I've one group that I've followed quite a bit over the years is a group that was headed by the musician Robbie Robertson, and they were called the Band. They did a lot of rock, sort of
Nice.
Appalachian style rock from the 1960s to 1970s, and I've always just really admired the quality and the uniqueness of their music. Um, so that's been sort of a model for me, you know, as I've grown over the years.
I love that. That's awesome. Um, how like when you get to those moments of like you're not sure what, like obviously we're not always on Mount Rushmore, we're not always happy. How do you deal with like the lows that come with this business of entertainment? Like what are the things that you implement in your life, you're on your daily to kind of keep you balanced?
Probably the best thing is performing. I perform once a week pretty much, and just
Nice.
getting out there and doing the best I can with that, and coming away knowing that I did a good job and that people liked it. I mean, that's the best feeling that I can get, is just knowing that I did a good, I usually don't do. I mean, the sets are pretty quick. I don't do a lot of longer sets. But usually just the performing once a week. I perform at local restaurants and bars and dinner clubs and that kind of thing, coffee houses. So that's probably the most rewarding part of the whole thing. And I've been doing that for about a year now. And I try to do one performance every week.
I love that. What's the feedback? Have you gotten like what's one of the most I don't know, feedback that like your favorite feedback that you got from somebody that came to your show?
Yeah, there's a place that I perform at called the Groton Community Center, which is in Groton, Mass. And they love this one song that I did called Running. And they just said, that was such an upbeat song, and it's sort of going with the vibe of wherever you're performing. And these are very sort of spirited gatherings that I perform at, and just knowing that it was uplifting for people to give me that feedback, it just really made me feel like, well, I'm positively affecting this group of people, and um, so yeah, I mean, I would say just the positivity.
I love that. I love that when you start getting like feedback from people, it's I think it's always the best feeling to like know what somebody kind of their interpretation of the song or what they feel like they're getting from your music. I'm sure that always feels good for yourself, right? Like, oh, or you just maybe some things they probably bring out like they got and you were like, whoa, I never realized that. Has that happened too? Like someone's revelation like made you think, oh wow, I never thought that actually.
Yeah, I mean, the vocally resonant stuff is a little bit controversial because I do use a vocal doubler, and
Mm,
I've gotten some varying opinions about that from people. Some people think that it sounds a little bit artificial.
mm.
Um, Before I started using the doubler, I did everything. I did all my vocal harmonies manually, and it was a big job to do because you had to record each track on top of each other, and you'd probably do like 10, at least 10 tracks vocally. And so that getting reactions to that has been helpful, just knowing what people think about that, because it's a little bit controversial. I mean, not doing the actual organic harmonization,
Hmm.
but at the same time, I know that I've created a sound that's unique, and that it comes across pretty well. So it's a little controversial.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's good that you're talking about these kind of subjects, and you're putting that out there. And that's the thing about being an artist. You want to be able to, be as free as you can with your art. And, because you're telling your story, your art, and that's awesome that you're putting that out in the world. Um, uh, another question I like to ask, and also not only just to ask, but like obviously, you know, do you feel like at the end, like say you get to heaven, right, and you meet God, what would you want God to say about everything that you've done on this earth?
I mean, the whole the thematic structure of my music is it's about spiritual transcendence, and it's always been, as far as spirituality is concerned, I look at death as a bridge to the next world, and that we're sort of somehow transported from one world to the next. And I think I'd say to God, I had faith in you. I believed in you during the hard times, and but I mean, more than that, I kind of want to look at death as sort of, because of some of the things that have happened to me over the past year, I'm kind of modifying, adapting the philosophy a little bit to not only transcend into the next world, but being healed in the next world, and having that faith in that healing process to say to God, I had faith in you and I'm here now. So things can happen during life. And I originally looked at death as sort of a bridge to the next world, but now I feel like I need something more than just that bridge. I need actual healing
Mm,
and solace in the next world. It's not enough for me just to be going to the next thing and being carried over and being there. It's more also being healed once I get there. So you'll see a lot of my music is about that bridge from here to there. But I mean, things have happened to me over the past year that have made me question um, whether, a lot of people in life, a lot of times in life, people question whether God is there. And so much of life involves just keeping the faith that it's a big job to do.
oh yeah, it is a big job to do, faith and having that from keeping faith, even when things aren't going so well. Because like it's easy to have faith when things are going amazing, you know, um, but that's not life, unfortunately. The journey is being able to stay balanced and keeping our eyes, on God as we're going through and I think they're all lessons, right? The lows with also the highs. Because if we didn't have lows, we wouldn't appreciate the highs, I don't think.
Yeah, a lot of my songs are kind of about emotional dysregulation as it relates to spirituality. There's a song called "The Chocolate Hospital,"
Hmm.
which is about, it sort of plays on the whole theme of the stigmatization of mental health. It's basically saying that psychiatric treatment can be a spiritual experience if you let it.
Hmm.
Uh, it's not just, um, treatment isn't just a bad thing. If you get into it and work at it, you can start to enjoy it, and it's something spiritual in and of itself as
Hmm.
well. So I kind of have combined the spirituality with the emotional dysregulation, as a way of just discussing both of those kind of overlapping circles.
Hmm. Very interesting. Do you have, this is gonna sound so left field, but do you have a favorite movie?
I would say the movie probably Harold and Maude, which came out in about 1970, early 70s, I think it was. Very good movie about California in in the late 60s or early 70s, and it's just a funny movie about a kid who just misbehaves and is dramatic and does things that you wouldn't want any kid to do. But it's starring Ruth Gordon, and that really just struck me as a humorous but touching movie about a young kid who falls in love with an older woman, and the pranks that they get up to. And but that anybody who wants sort of a 1960s 70s style movie about California, San Francisco, and it's a funny, original, slightly morbid movie, but
More of it. Nice. Thank you. That's cool. I don't know. I was curious over your favorite film. I was like, I have to know. I don't think I've ever asked you that. Um, what advice would you give to young artists out there that want to get into music?
I would say just do the best you can, but don't expect huge windfalls. At least to start out with, financially, that you should do it for the emotional reward more than anything else. And if you're just doing it to get numbers and to make money, that's not going to really get you anywhere. I found that distributing my music has been great. I haven't seen a huge windfall financially, but that just hasn't been the main aspect of it to me. It's been more the creative process that you should enjoy.
Absolutely. 100%. I agree with that. Enjoy the creative process. Enjoy what you do. And if you love what you do, it's, I mean, that's just the icing on the cake, honestly. Um, Last question, and I I appreciate your time, by the way. But last question that I love asking, what's something, or it could be a quote or something that someone said, or yeah, I don't know, maybe it could be something that someone gave you along the way, that advice that kind of sticks with you through tough times, that you, when you think about that, you're like, ah, I can just keep going.
One of my songs is called "The Tenuous Affair," and I can explain that to people a little bit. It's about the philosopher Thomas Hobbes, who was an English philosopher, and he basically said that life is, quote, nasty, brutish, and short. And in the song "The Tenuous Affair," I address that philosophy, and I basically say, that is an unacceptable outlook to have on life. You have to have more faith. You have to have more positivity, more humanity. And so, from a philosophical point of view, that song sort of summarizes my own philosophy, that you can't just be dour and gloomy and not optimistic about the future. That believing in something whole that transcends and heals is really what you should do in life. So
I love that. That's great. It's good advice. Also, where can people find you on social media on social media to find everything that you have going on?
yeah, my songs are all they're all on YouTube. I'm on pretty much every major platform. The website name is samwelch.com or samwelchmusic.com, and you can check out all my songs there. I have artwork. I have videos on the website. So I would definitely encourage people to check out the website. If you have one of the streaming platforms, my new album is called The Republic, and all you have to do is put in Sam Welch, The Republic, and you should come up with that. There's a lot of original, new, interesting songs on that album. So I encourage people to check it out and maybe compare it with the types of songs that I wrote before that, because there is a definite shift in thematic content and in genre.
Nice. Exciting. That's exciting. And congrats again. Thank you for coming on and sharing that with us. Everyone go listen, go download, support. And yeah, thank you again for coming on. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Meosha.
Of course. And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.